Roggen. Roggen.
In German, Roggen means rye, so Roggenbier is beer made from rye. Let's brew one. Hey, how's it going? I'm Martin Keane, taking the Homebrew Challenge to brew 99 beers in 99 weeks. Roggenbier is the beer of the day, and 50% of what's in here is rye malt. First time I've ever used rye in that sort of percentage. Let's get it in. I'm going to be mashing today at 152 Fahrenheit. That is 67 Celsius. Now, rye is a naked grain, which means it doesn't have a husk. And because of that, I have brought along some rice hulls. These are going to provide the husks that the rye don't provide, just to make sure that we get a good transfer of water through this brew bag system. So let's add some of those in. Couple of handfuls is probably sufficient. So because there are no husks, the rye really does soak up the water in here. And I don't want this to become this sort of gelatin gooey mess. Just for the sake of efficiency, it's important that the water is able to circulate properly. Okay, that looks pretty good. So, let's talk a little bit about the ingredients that I've put in here. Now, a Roggenbier is similar in style to a Dunkelweizen, except instead of using wheat malt, it uses rye malt. In terms of original gravity, we're looking at around 1053, so about a 5.3% beer, nice middle of the road ABV. As I mentioned, obviously rye malt is the order of the day here, and that makes up 50% of my grist. In addition to that, I'm adding 21% each of German Pilsner malt and also Munich Malt. Now we're going to want some toasty kind of malts in here as well for the style. So I am adding in at 4% each Caramunich 120 and Caramunich III. Now, a few weeks ago, I brewed a pre-prohibition lager using this new 3-port lid from Spike, and I was able to ferment this under pressure using a spunding valve. And I was even able to cold crash this without exposing anything to oxygen here. I just shut down the spunding valve, that way I could ensure that there'll be no suckback, and then I drop the temperature. So I have a beer that's brewed in a completely oxygen-free environment right now, but I want to add a fining agent. I would like to add some gelatin, but I don't really want to expose the beer to oxygen. So I'm going to try something to put the gelatin in the keg in a way that will not expose the keg to any unnecessary oxygen either. So what I've done is I've taken a sanitized and fully purged keg with CO2, and then I use my usual closed transfer system under pressure to move the beer out of the Spike Flex Plus fermenter and into my keg. Again, we have not exposed anything to oxygen. Then it's time to add the gelatin. For that, I followed my usual procedure, which is to take 1/4 a cup of water, combine that with half a teaspoon of gelatin, and heat in the microwave for about 30 seconds to get to around 160 Fahrenheit. That's what I have here, and I want to add it into my keg. Now, I could just open up the top lid of my keg here and pour it in, but then I'm exposing a lot of air into the keg, which is kind of a shame. So I'm going to try doing it through the PRV valve, the pressure relief valve here, and injecting it. I looked around to find a syringe in the brewery, and I had this little guy here. It's not really going to get the job done. Then in the kitchen I found this thing, which I think is used for like basting turkeys or something, I don't know. But I'm going to sanitize this thing first. Now this syringe comes with this scary looking needle thing. I'm going to screw that in. Then I'm going to put the gelatin in here. Now I'm going to create some positive pressure in the keg. So I'm going to set this to just 1 or 2 psi of pressure using my CO2 here. So now I'm going to unscrew this PRV. Still a little bit of positive pressure in here. Put this in. Inject. Close this back up. So not entirely oxygen free, but the fact that this keg was under more pressure than the outside air means that the pressure inside would have been trying to escape a little bit, which should reduce the amount of oxygen getting in. Just to be sure, I'm going to bump up the gas just a little bit and just flush out the top layer. And I think I'm done. I don't really have any way to know how much oxygen got in, but I'm pretty sure it was a lot less than if I'd opened the top of this keg here, or if I'd opened the port on the top of my Spike Flex Plus. Whew, that was heavy. This is really gummed up, so when I pulled the grain basket out here, it's still full of the wort, so it's super heavy, much more heavy than usual. And yeah, that weighs a ton. It's taking a long time to drain through the mash bed. It's the rice hulls didn't really help there a lot. Okay, so in terms of hops for this beer, well, everything is in this single bag of hops here. This is Styrian Goldings. It can perform double duty. I'm going to use it as my bittering hop. Half of this bag will go in at 60 minutes. I will then be using the other half with 15 minutes to go, just to add a little bit of flavor and aroma to this. And this is still draining away. So when this finally gets done, we'll get boiling and add this in. So I've ended up with a bit higher original gravity than I'd intended and a bit less wort than I was expecting. I used Beersmith to figure out my water volume, and apparently it wasn't quite accurate. It ended up sucking up a lot more liquid than I'd allowed for, which means I've got slightly less in here than I'd planned. Anyway, the yeast for this beer, I'm using Wyeast 3638. This is Bavarian wheat. Yes, that's right, wheat, even though there is no wheat in this beer, but it is pretty suitable for this style of beer. And I'm going to ferment at 70 Fahrenheit or 21 Celsius. All right, just going to seal this all up. Brew day's done.
Rightio, guys.
Yeah, rightio. Let's try this rye beer.
Yes.
So yeah, just look, let's just start with the appearance, because the appearance is quite striking.
Yeah.
Cloudy.
Cloudy.
Yeah.
But color-wise, it has like a coppery orange or coppery brown.
Yeah.
You know, like a burnt copper look to it. Quite carbonated. You can see all the bubbles up there.
Oh, that smells quite a bit like a Hefeweizen to me.
It does. It smells kind of sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe like little notes of like banana.
Yeah, faintly banana. That's what I'm getting too. So it sure doesn't look like a Hefeweizen, but it certainly smells like one.
Yeah, it definitely smells like one.
It sort of tastes like a German wheat beer too, but with a little bit more dark malts to it, I think. Now, what I wondered is you know, this is a rye beer, so there's the chance this is going to sort of be quite bready, maybe a little spicy, maybe little bit like pumpernickel bread or something like that.
Or rye bread.
Or rye bread, yeah. But I don't know, I'm not really getting that.
I'm not, and just before the video I said that I was a bit nervous because I'm not a fan of rye bread.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm gonna hate this. But spice-wise, like, I taste like a very subtle, like, cloves. Have you had cloves before?
Yeah.
Which sometimes can be spicy, but it's not like, it's just like a little tingle.
Yeah, it is. So considering the amount of rye in here, I was expecting, oh, it's going to be, you know, spicy rye. And it's not like that at all. So the banana and clove esters, that is, I think, coming from the Hefeweizen yeast. And it's just sort of on a bit of a darker, sweeter body, really. Okay, well, thank you for trying this one, Lauren. Next week, we're collaborating with another YouTube brewing channel. I will say no more than that, but look out for a special episode next week. Until then, cheers!
Cheers!